Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Red Carroll, and I'm just a guy that lives BSing at work. All right, it is draft week. It's finally here. The week we've all been waiting for, just a couple days away. And to celebrate, I got one last mock draft, a full 7 round mock, all 32 teams, all the picks. I don't know what I was thinking. This was an assignment. Um, but it was a lot of fun. I'm just doing this before so you understand the way I did it. Obviously did all the draft already. I'm just gonna go over the results. Uh, I have it structured by division. So if you don't want to look at all the other picks, if you just want to look at your team, just you could scroll through when you see teams in your division, you know that your team's coming up or whatever. The reason why I did like that is a lot of people, myself included, a lot of times I don't want to just see my team. I want to see, teams in my division. So, um, yeah, so it's a little bit easier to do it that way for me, for you. The way it kind of worked out, all the NFC teams are going first, then all the AFC teams are afterwards, just so you're aware. But yeah, as you can see, I'm not here. I'm recording this. Uh, I'm in LA right now at my hotel, recording this. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. As you can see, I don't even got the right hoodie for this, but this was an endeavor. I started this 3 days ago. I'm literally just finishing up. It's late Sunday night. I'm trying to record this and upload it before Monday morning. So we're gonna plow right through this. All right. So yeah, let's get started. All right, here it is, our full 7 round mock draft. Let's get started. All right. Here with the Bears. Uh, we'll go through this real quick. We already know what number one is, Caleb Williams. We're not going to spend much time on this. At number 9, I decided to go with Dallas Turner, get them an edge. I was going to trade down, but at the time it didn't really make sense. You'll see if you look at the other picks, the board kind of didn't fall that way where number 9 was a valuable place for somebody to move up to get. So I just stayed there and took Dallas Turner. At 75, I took Jalen McMillan, wide receiver from Washington. Nice tall receiver. I know he's not Roma Doomsday. A lot the guy that a lot of teams wanted, Bears fans wanted at 9. So I figured go get another great stud Washington receiver that will be able to learn under the big three that they already have there and go from there. At 176, we got Steel Chambers, linebacker from Ohio State. So I traded down twice. I traded down from I think like 122 and then 138 um to get to more picks because the Bears didn't have that many picks in this draft. So I traded down twice. I still got Steel Chambers, a really good linebacker from Ohio State that they can use. At 186, Coker, I think that's how you say his name. I hope that's how you say his name. Either way, the last name's a little crazy. But I got another wide receiver here from Holy Cross. At 211, started to work more on the defensive line again with Fabian Lovett from Florida State. At 15, we got Austin McNamara, punter from Texas Tech. At this point, at this part of the draft, it was like, all right, we got to start taking special teams somewhere. Somebody's going to need a special teams player. Why not? And then I rounded out with Ryan Watts, cornerback from Texas. A pretty good side receiver that could be a developmental piece, hopefully at least special teamer going forward. All right, the Vikings at 3, I took Drake May. Traded up. Like I said, if you've been watching, I'm not buying the trading up from JJ McCarthy thing. If you're going to trade up, get a guy that has superstar potential, not just starter potential. And if you really like JJ McCarthy that much, stay at 11. Hope he falls to you. I really don't think it makes sense to trade into the top 5 to get JJ McCarthy. So here I have them trading up to get a guy that has superstar potential in Drake May. At 108, Hunter Norzad, center from Penn State. At 129, Abrams Drain from Missouri. 157, Eric All, a tight end from Iowa. 167, again, working at defensive line, McKinley Jackson from Texas A&M. And then at 177, Malik Mustafa from safety at Wake Forest. I know the Vikings need some help in that secondary, so I wanted to, try to help out in that. So that's Chris Abrams Drain and Malik Mustafa were great value picks. Amani Bailey is a guy I really, really like. I think he'd be a cool little gadget guy for them to use with his speed. Um, in that offense, I think it would be really cool if using him maybe like a mini Christian McCaffrey. I know it's the Ram system, not necessarily the 49ers system, but they're kind of similar in a little bit of ways and how they like to utilize the running back. So I thought Bailey would be great here. And then CJ Henson, another guard from Holy Cross. I really wanted to work the offensive line, but the way the board was falling for them, the value just was never there. So I wanted to get more offensive line help, but it just kind of didn't happen that way for the Vikings. But they improved the defense a lot. They got their quarterback of the future, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. The Packers, oh my goodness, the Packers, as you can see, they had a million picks. This one, and I'm not gonna lie to you, part of it was my fault. As you can see here, I traded down with them a couple times. Um, and at the time, I didn't realize they already had a lot of picks. And in trading down, it wasn't more for the Packers to trade down. It was more of I liked the team trading up to get a player at that position. Um, so like for instance, Seattle traded up to 25, and we'll see who Seattle got later. So that was a trade down. And then this pick 91 was from that same trade, from the Seattle trade. And then I had somebody trade up with them in the third round to get pick 88. So yeah, like I was not paying attention to how many picks they had. And by the time I realized I had too many picks, I had already made these trades, and it was a lot. So yeah, I did again full 7 rounds with trades. I did trades in every round. I was trying to do this as if this was a real draft. So yeah, so let's just go through the picks. Tyler Guyton at 28. Again, great value. You trade back and you still get a tackle. Tyler Nubin, safety from Minnesota. If you see at 96, I also got Kalen Bullock. I really, really like that. The fact that they got like a safety tandem, a young safety tandem that should be like great for them going forward. Marshawn Keelan or Nealon, I should say, edge help, along with Kieran Armagedi from Yale. Him and Tyler Guyton, again, two young tackles that they could build that offensive line around in the future. I know they've had a lot of injuries on that offensive line, so I wanted to make sure they can, shore that up. Mason Smith, again, great value pick for defensive line from LSU, along with Marshawn Nealon at the edge. Anais Smith is a little bit different from what they have at wide receiver. Gives them some more speed capabilities and some, again, kind of like a gadget guy. Uh, JD Bertrand, or Bentran, I should say, from Notre Dame. Again, great linebacker depth, and again at the position he was at was great value. Jerome Briggs from Cincinnati, again, just trying to add more pieces to that defensive line. Um, Again, at this point, I'm just trying to get some picks down, so I got him a kicker. Isaiah Williams, another kind of gadgety type of receiver that they can utilize. Hopefully, could at least be a special teamer. Rasheen Ali, running back from Marshall, give them some depth at the running back position. And then Exuvia Gaden, offensive lineman guard from Liberty, against just some more depth for that offensive line. Hopefully he could be a really good complementary backup in case those injuries reoccur. Okay, Detroit. 29 just took Darius Robinson. I really like the fit there. I think he's the type of guy that they would love on that team. Mike Sanders still from Michigan is like Mike Hilton 2.0. I just love the fit there in Detroit. Javon Baker is one of my favorite players in this draft. He could be their Josh Reynolds replacement. Braden McGregor, another edge to help with that defensive line. Um, Dylan McMahon, uh, center from the Detroit was another team that I kind of wanted to go inside offensive line earlier, but the value just wasn't there. Um, so by the time this pick rolled around, I was finally comfortable pulling the trigger on that. Um, and hopefully he could be a guy that could impact you. But again, at this point, we're talking about like fifth, sixth round, so we'll see. Tit another tight end from Illinois. And then Christian Boyd, another defensive line help. I really like the idea of the Detroit Lions building around Aiden Hutchinson and having a nasty, nasty, nasty defensive line. You know, so let's do that. All right, the Commanders, they get their quarterback in Jaden Daniels. I know the news came out over the last couple of days about maybe Jaden Daniels was not happy with the way the Commanders have recruited him with the whole, a bunch of different quarterbacks coming to the meeting and having that group outing like that. Uh, Again, if you want to just switch this with the Minnesota pick, sure. Um, I also did this before that news kind of came out and happened. So like again, like I said, this has been like I started this process like early Friday morning. It's now Sunday night and I'm just getting finished. That's how much work came into making this, doing all the drafting and everything else. So um yeah, again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. If you want to switch Jaden Daniels with Drake May, sure. I still think I'm also the type of person I don't necessarily listen to agents that much because I know sometimes the agent doesn't necessarily quote unquote represent the athlete. And I know that sounds weird to say, but we've seen that over the years multiple times where an agent might be saying something or doing something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's how the client feels. So until we get better word that no, Jaden Daniels does not want to be a Washington Commander, I still think that this is the pick. At 36 and 40, I went back to back Penn State edge rushers. I said, well, they worked so good as a tandem in college. Why not bring them back to the pros? So it made sense to do that. Christian Haynes, one of the guys I just love in this draft. Getting him at 67 was great value. Theo Johnson going back to Penn State for as a tight end. Um, at 100, we got Mason McCormick from South Dakota State. So again, him with Christian Haynes and then with Drake Nugent, they needed to fix that offensive line. Sam Howell got murdered last year. A lot of it was not necessarily the tackles, but the inside of the line. So I wanted to make sure the inside of the line got as much help as it needed. And what I loved about, unlike some of the other teams that we talked about, the value was great. Getting these guys when we were able to get them was great value to shore up that offensive line and do what we need to do. Um, Kalen King, I love Kalen King. He came into the year as a first round pick. I really don't know what he did or didn't do this year that now he's like undraftable. Um, I get it. He's a little bit shorter, so people might project him more as a slot than an outside corner, and that's hurt his draft stock. But I still think he's a really good player. Getting him at 152 to me is a steal. And then routing out Cody Schrader, running back from Missouri, just getting some more depth at that position. But yeah, really solid draft from the Commanders. Okay, the G-Man taking Malik Neighbors at 6. No surprise there. I think a lot of people think this will be the pick. At 47, I really like the idea of Javon Bullard being in that secondary. I know the type of defense that the Giants want to try to run. I think he would fit perfectly there. Cooper Beebe, I know this is Joe Anderson's favorite pick. Shout out Joe Anderson. Cooper Beebe on the offensive line at the guard spot. Leonard Taylor at 112. This was a trade down to still get Leonard Taylor. I thought the value there was great. Along with the new addition of Brian Burns, you already have Sexy Dexy, you already have Kayvon Thibodeau. You put Leonard Taylor on that defensive line. My God, look, I'm a Giants hater, but even I know when they're winning Super Bowls, it's usually because their defensive line is unstoppable. So you're welcome. Charles, Joe, the rest of y'all that think I just hate the Giants and don't want them to succeed. You see what I'm doing for you. You're welcome. At 166, Joe Milton. If y'all don't know, Joe Milton's like my favorite quarterback in this draft class. He's extremely raw. He can't play right now, but the dude can literally launch the ball out of the stadium with a flick of the wrist. Um, and I think he's a perfect quarterback for a team like the Giants to take. We know Daniel Jones is going to be your starting quarterback next year. We know that. So take a guy that is not going to play. The fans aren't going to be, begging for him to play because most people know that he's not ready. But he still has a huge upside. He still has superstar potential. He's literally Anthony Richardson. He's literally a poor man's Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson went fourth in the draft, and a lot of people thought that he needed time to develop, and he probably still does. He got hurt too early, so we can't tell. But Joe Milton has all the upside of Anthony Richardson. He's just not as NFL ready as Anthony Richardson was. And again, a lot of people thought that Anthony Richardson should have been sitting his rookie year. So you got to be patient with a guy like Joe Milton. But again, the upside is crazy. Arm talent is through the roof, could run, has incredible size, is an amazing athlete for a guy his size. Again, like I said, can launch the ball out of the stadium without even trying. Um, I love this pick for the Giants. I really, really do because that's the perfect situation. You get some help around the quarterback. You let him sit while you continue to build up the roster, and there you go. Okay, at 183, I have Trevin Wallace, linebacker from Kentucky, and then at 198, I traded up to get Jalen Harrell, edge from Michigan. Again, defensive line. That's what they're known for. So good luck, all the other quarterbacks in the NFC East and really the NFC period. Okay, and the Eagles at 22, Cooper DeJean made so much sense. He could be a chess piece for them on that defense. Along with Kamari Lassiter, they love their Bulldogs. He could come in. Him with and DeJean in that quarter defensive back room would be amazing. Edgerrin Cooper, I love this guy. He's probably my linebacker one. The fact that the Eagles got him at 53 is great value to me. Christian Jones at 120, again, great value. Can what I like about this too is he doesn't have to play this year, right? They can let him sit, let him develop, and then next year come in and he could be a stud tackle for them. So I really love that pick. Jordan McGee, another linebacker at a Temple. I think it just made sense. They need linebacker help. Get some linebacker depth. I'm assuming because he played at Temple, they have good film on him and they would know how to utilize him. 171 Cornelius Johnson from Michigan. Just help at that receiver spot. Along with Marcus Rosemary Jack Saint from Georgia. These guys are going to be like more slot guys, but still, you need that. You need that help. And then at 210, Cedric Johnson, edge from Ole Miss, again helping that defensive line, helping that defense. This is what the Eagles want to do. The Cowboys. All right, I took Amarius Mims at 24. I know he's a right tackle. Um, but I just love his upside, and I think the Cowboys are one of those teams that could get the most out of him. Peyton Wilson at 56, another really good linebacker. They love their linebackers, at least their white linebackers in Dallas. I think he could come in and be a stud for them. Jalen Wright at 87, they need a running back. This is one of, if not the best running back in the class. Dwight McLaughlin at 174 to me is a steal. Again, he's another guy. I know he didn't test well, but he's a much better player than what he tested at. And getting him at 174 is a steal. And Jerry Jones loves his Arkansas Razorbacks. So again, I think this is a match made in heaven. At 216, I took Austin Reed, just The Cowboys are known for taking late round quarterbacks, and to be fair, being very successful with them. Tony Romo was undrafted. Dak was a fourth round pick. So Austin Reed, although I don't think he's going to be the next heir apparent, who knows? And then at 233, Nathan Thomas, another tackle from Louisiana. Again, just trying to rebuild that offensive line. I know that offensive line's been a little hurt, a little banged up. Getting some more bodies there that can help with that will help. And then Chase McClellan from Alabama, another running back to add to that room that desperately needs running back help. All right, the Cardinals, they also had a lot of draft picks, but they had a lot of draft picks coming in, and I actually helped by moving up some and losing some picks. So, yeah, I moved up twice with them. I did the opposite with the Packers. I knew they had a lot of draft picks, and I said, let me cut some of this down by trading up. But anyway, at number 4, we have Marvin Harrison Jr. It's a no-brainer to me. Uh, as we we already saw that the quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3. So at 4, there's no need of trading back. You just take Marvin Harrison Jr., generational talent, could be the face of the franchise. At 27, Byron Murphy made a lot of sense. Um, at 35, Jordan Morgan helping with the offensive line. 66, Ricky Pearsall. They need more than just Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver. Ricky Pearsall is another great talent at the receiver position. So uh Kyler Murray should be very happy with these 2 picks. Andrew Phil's a really good corner. Probably a slot guy, but could play outside if you really need him to. Muhammad Kamara, a hard hitting edge. I was really happy he was still on the board at 101. Actually, no, I did trade down. This one, it was a trade down. Um, so yeah, I was able to still get him at 101, which was great. Bucky Irving, running back from Oregon. Again, I know James Conner is there, but we know how running backs are, and James Conner is almost at that magical number of age. So go ahead and take a guy like Bucky Irving to help solidify the running back room. Tanner Bornolini, again, really good uh value to get him at center. He's a little bit undersized, but again, at 122, you're okay with it. Um, then I went back to the offensive line with Javion Cohen from Miami. Again, trying to boost that lineup. The Cardinals could use basically everything, so I love that. And then finishing off with Charles Smith Wade, corner from Washington State, again helping out with that secondary. Um, because again, the Cardinals need everything, so you can't go wrong if you're the Cardinals. Draft everything. Okay, the Los Angeles Rams. This is another team where I'm like, my God, why do you have so many picks? At 19, I took Jason Newton. With um and Aaron Donald retiring, you need that heir apparent. Jason Newton fits the bill. Jonah Ellis also on that defensive line, from Utah. Roger Rosenhaus, tackle from Washington, again at 83. That's his great value. Help with that offensive line. I took Spencer Rattler at 99. Again, he's got a lot of talent. Him sitting behind Matthew Stafford, I think will be really good. One of the issues with Spencer Rattler has kind of been his leadership or lack thereof. Matthew Stafford is a pro's pro. Learning from a guy like him could really help this young man mature. Um, and reach his full potential. So I love that pick. Josh Newton at 154, getting some cornerbacks in that room. Tyron Lace Tracy from Purdue. We know the Rams offense doesn't work if they're not running the ball, so I always want to make sure there's a running back available for them to use. And then 196 and 209, again, I got to the point where I said, I don't know what to do with these picks. Again, we're at that point of the draft where people usually take special teams anyway, so why not them go ahead and do that? So I got them taking the kicker with Cam Little and the punter with Torrey Taylor. 213, Miles Harden from South Dakota, again, wanting to really just add a lot of cornerback depth. I know that was something they kind of struggled with last year. Uh, Hayden Hatton, a wide receiver from Idaho. Again, it was kind of just BPA at that point. And then Donquan tackle from Howard. Again, swing tackle, depth. And I'm not gonna lie, the thought of Sean McVay and his staff taking a kid from an HBCU tickled me. So I did it. It was one of the last picks of the draft, so why not? Okay, the Seattle Seahawks. This was a trade back. So I had Philly trade. Wait, was it Philly? I had no, I had somebody trade up and them trade back. And then I had them trade back up to get Jackson Powers Johnson. Much better value at 25. To me, he's still the best center prospect in the draft. I know a lot of people have like concussion issues with him, and that's kind of why he's been sliding down boards. But I still think he's a bona fide first round talent. So that's what I did. 81, I got Jaden Hicks. Uh, really good safety from Washington State, a guy I think they should be very familiar with. Trevor Keegan at guard at 118 from Michigan. Again, him alongside with Jackson Powers Johnson really solidifying that offensive line. Brennan Jackson from Washington State as an edge. This was part of the compensation that they got from trading back from 16. 190, 179, Michael Barrett, linebacker from Michigan. Again, I thought it was great value. Um, Helped solidify that defense a little bit. 192, Grayson Murphy, edge from UCLA. Again, I kind of double dip that edge. They can use the edge help. Um, and with Mike McDonald being there, that's what they want to do. They want to be able to get pressure. They want to be a physical defense. That can shut people down. So that's what I did. And then last but not least, Edwin Olosofo, linebacker from Washington. Again, getting some of that linebacker depth, building up that nasty defense that I know Mike McDonald wants to run. You know, the Legion of Boom is not there anymore, but they still have some studs on that side of the ball, especially at the cornerback position. Getting that front seven together, yeah, Seahawks will be a really formidable defense for sure. Okay, the Niners, 31 took Kool-Aid McKinstry. Again, one of the best corners in the draft. Made a lot of sense. Malachi Corley, a lot of people are comparing him to Debo and Brandon Ayuk. And if Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to be there anymore, if they do end up trading him, why not replace him with another Debo-like player? Having two Debos is better than having one Debo. Patrick Paul at 94 to help with the offensive line. Jared Wiley at tight end. I'm pretty sure this is the guy that like grew up idolizing like George Kittle and wants to be like George Kittle. So I thought that was a really cool draft pick to have him be there and be the like heir apparent to George Kittle. Andrew Rain from Oklahoma as a center, again, just helping solidify that offensive line. It's got a little banged up last year, needs a little more help and a little more depth. Um, Isaiah Davis from North Dakota State, again, this is an offense that utilizes the run game and needs to be running the ball effectively to be effective. So get some more depth just in case Christian McCaffrey gets hurt and stuff like that. I know he's been pretty healthy since he's been a Niner. Unfortunately, he wasn't like that as a Panther. But since he's been a Niner, he's been relatively healthy. But still, you can't keep relying on that. So keep adding a running back depth. 138, Michael Pratt is the quarterback. I forgot to put that quarterback. Again, having somebody that could run the offense and do the things that the Niners need to do in case Brock Purdy gets hurt, I thought he would be a perfect player to be able to do that. And then rounding it out, Josh Carty, kicker from Stanford. Again, one of the last picks in the draft and made sense. I'll do it. Okay, the Saints. At 14, Talise Fuaga from Oregon State, one of the best tackle prospects in the draft. They need help at the tackle position. Made sense. Braden Fisk at 45, uh, to help with that defensive line. Devin Leary at 150, a guy that shouldn't usurp Derek Carr, but a guy that could be at least a really good backup for them. 168 Jordan Whittingham or Whittington. Uh, really like tall, athletic receiver from Texas. I know he doesn't get the name recognition that the other guys do. But he's still a really good receiver that, and they can use some more help at that position. And he's a little bit different from what they have, so that's why I took him. Gabriel Murphy, edge from UCLA, again helping out with that defensive line. Walter Rouse, tackle from Oklahoma. Again, just double dipping at tackle so they have the depth they need it. Taj Washington from USC. He's more of like a gadget slash slot guy, but they like using those gadget plays. You see it with Taysom Hill and stuff like that. Obviously, this is a smaller guy, and they'll use him differently. But ever since the Sean Payton days, they've loved using guys like that, where you could put them all around the Alvin Kamara's of the world, the Taysom Hills of the world. This is another guy like that they can use and play around with. 199 Justin Ebigadi. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Edge from Alabama. Again, I really just wanted to. I know defensive line is something they've been trying to fortify for the last couple of years, so I wanted to keep just adding to it. And then Willie Roberts, cornerback from Louisiana Tech, was kind of best player available at the time, and somebody that I feel they might be familiar with because they played in Louisiana. The Falcons at 15, they took Jared Verse. No need to explain that. They traded back from 8. So as you can see, they traded back from 8 to 15. We'll get to who traded up to 8 in a little bit. But they got Jared Verse, which again, a guy they could have taken at 9, and they got him at 15. So I love it. 43 TJ Tampa, really good corner. And I double dipped that corner with Renardo Green. Between those two guys, I think their cornerback room should be solidified. I know they still have, I'm pretty sure they still have AJ Terrell on the other side. 79 Michael Holt Jr. at 79 from Ohio State is phenomenal value, in my opinion, helping with that defensive line. And then I double dipped again with Xavier Thomas, edge from Clemson. Again, this is a pick that they got from the trade down from number 8. 109 Brandon Rice from USC. Um, Getting Kirk Cousins some more weapons is never a bad thing, and a guy with the pedigree of the Rice name is not a bad idea. 43 Jaheim Bell, tight end slash halfback. Again, another weapon, a guy that Kirk Cousins likes to be able to throw to as many people as he can. Um, Having Jaheim Bell there gives them a different look than Kyle Pitts, but you're still getting like the athletic tight end. So, a little bit different, but it still kind of works in the same way. 187 Miles Murphy again, also trying to get that defensive line together. That's been an issue for Atlanta for a long time. So adding him on there works. And then 197 Carter Bradley. Again, nice little developmental backup for them at this point in the draft. It was best player available and it made the most sense. All right, the Buccaneers took Nate Wiggins at 26. Again, BPA, best player available, a really good player for them. At 57, if you've seen any of my mock drafts, I almost do this every time. Trey Benson makes so much sense for that team. At 89, I got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. at linebacker. Give them hopefully a nice young player to replace Shaq Barrett, I think is who they lost. Um, but yeah, they need another linebacker, so that's what I got. Cade Stover, the tight end from Ohio State at 92, just giving them extra weapons, and they could use some tight end help. Zach Zinter and Kingsley Agumakun from Florida. This was another team that I kind of wanted to go interior a little bit earlier, but the fit didn't work and the value didn't work out. Um, so I kind of got him a little bit later, but again, I'm a big fan of Zach Zinter, especially, so I'm not mad at that pick at all. But yeah, As you can see, they didn't have the most picks in the world. If they had more picks, especially in those middle rounds, I probably would have gone uh offensive line earlier and more often. And then Tyron Hopper, 246 again. It was best player available. And again, another linebacker to help with that room. The Panthers, okay, as you can see, I was pretty busy with the Panthers. They did not have a lot of picks and they had a lot of needs. So I traded down a lot. So I traded down from 33. So they didn't pick until 39, and they got Zach Frazier, which was good. Um, the trade down was to 44, where they still were able to get Xavier Legette. So that was good. So the two guys that they probably would have taken at 33 and 39, they still get them at 39 and 44. So great trade for them. Jonathan Brooks, I traded down again at the beginning of the third round to 69 and got Jonathan Brooks. Really help out with hopefully be their back of the future because right now they do not have one. Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard are not the answer. Jonathan Brooks hopefully can be. And especially if you trade it down and get him, even better value. At 77, Braylon Trice helping out with the edge from Washington. This is a pick that they got from trading down from 33. Um, at 90, I traded up to get Johnny Wilson. The reason why I did that was because they need tight end help. At the time, all the good tight ends were kind of gone. And what I like about Johnny Wilson is a lot of people project him to probably be a tight end at the NFL level, and that's fine because he'll be better than anything they have in that tight end room. And they've been struggling to find a tight end since Greg Olson left. But even if he doesn't pan out to be a tight end, if he pans out to be a really good wide receiver in the NFL, that's still great. They can still use big body receivers. Right now, the receiving room looks a little bit better, but a lot of them are all kind of like small possession receivers. And I think Bryce Young would benefit from having bigger targets to throw to. So getting a guy that's 6'7", um, that hopefully can be a receiver, and if the very worst is going to be your tight end, I thought made a lot of sense. So I really like that pick. At 140, getting Jalen Ford was really good value. At 140, they had back-to-back picks, and then Jarvis Brownlee Jr., the cornerback from Louisville. They could use the cornerback depth, which is why I did it again at 240 with Marcellus Dial from South Carolina. Again, the cornerback depth is a must, especially with J.C. Horn. As good as he is, when he's on the field, he's been great. But unfortunately, he's not been able to stay healthy. So getting corners in that room was pivotal. All right, the Chargers at 5, they took Joe Alt. Um, don't need to really explain that one. At 37, I had them take Roman Wilson. There were a couple different wide receivers on the board, and I thought about it. I said Jim Harbaugh is going to take his guys. What are we talking about? So that's why at 65, I had them trade up and get Blake Corum. So he got both his guys, got both Corum and Roman Wilson. At 105, Jamari Trash, um, from Louisville, another receiver. They need receivers. So he was another guy that I was able to snag and a really good player. He'll be more like the slot. Cam Hart at 110, again, really good value. I like Cam Hart a lot. So getting him at 110 was good. Logan Lee from Iowa to help out with that defensive line. Sam Hartman at 225, nice little backup. Uh, and then Carson Steele at 253 was best player available in my opinion. Again, they need running back help. He'll be a nice complimentary piece for sure. And plus, I like his game a lot. I think Jim Harbaugh would like this kid. Um, and so that's what I did. All right, the Broncos, they go ahead and take JJ McCarthy. I had them trade from 12 to 7. The reason why I did that was because once I had the Patriots trade back, obviously you saw that Minnesota traded up to 3 already. Once I had the Patriots trade back to 11, if the Broncos wanted a quarterback and if they wanted it to be JJ McCarthy, they were going to have to jump the Patriots to do that. So I had them trade up to 7. Um, At 121, they got Kalen Carson, corner from Wake Forest, to help with the corners. Besides Sertan, they kind of need some help back there. And 136, Jacob Cowan, wide receiver from Arizona. Just giving him another versatile receiver. 145, Javante John Baptiste from Notre Dame to help with their edge rush help. At 147, Audric Estemi from Notre Dame. Um, yeah, I think they still have Melvin Gordon in them, but again, you want you and I think Jason Williams, is that his name? Yeah, Jason Williams. But adding some more running back depth is never a bad thing. Um, at 203, Nick Gargiulio from South Carolina at the center to help bolster that offensive line. And then Nahima Pritchett. He's a smaller corner, a little skinny, but he's very athletic and is a guy that I think in the right situation could be a really good player. So I love the value there of getting that there. All right, the Raiders took Terrion Arnold at 13. They're the ones in the second round. I had them trade up with the Panthers to get Michael Penix Jr. Um, Again, they had to jump some teams in if they wanted a quarterback, so I had them do that. 107, Marshawn Lloyd was really good value at the running back position. And they traded up from 112 to do that. Javon Foster helping with the offensive line. I went tackle back to back with Javon Foster and Sotea Luema. Um, Again, trying to bolster that offensive line for the new quarterback and Michael Penix Jr. And then James Williams at 229 was a steal. I remember when I was doing this and I saw he was still on the board. I was like, oh my God, what forget anything else I was trying to do. Like, let's go ahead and take James Williams. So yeah. That was just BPA. All right, Kansas City at 32 took Xavier Worthy. Speed, speed, and more speed. They love utilizing speed, and he has speed to burn. 4.22 40. What else can I say? Brandon Dorlus along that defensive line, something that they also wanted to do, even though they brought back Chris Jones, that defensive line could still use some help. Dominic Puny at 95 was good value for them to try to bolster the offensive line. The offensive line is something that's, kind of every other year seems to be an issue. So just wanted to keep bolstering that. Miles Cole, again, helping on the defensive line and pass rush will be huge for them. Will Shipley gives them another type of running back, a little bit different from what they're getting in Isaiah Pacheco. Caden Wallace from Penn State, again, helping out with that offensive line. Again, at this stage of the game, he's more of a backup slash just depth, but still that's never a bad thing. And then Layden Robinson, again, same thing. So depth at the offensive line, something that they really want. The Colts. Okay. This was one of the big ones. I had them trade up with the Falcons at 8 to get Roma Doomsday. Uh, I really like the fit. I really think that if you're the Colts and you're seeing what's going on in your division with Houston, obviously Jacksonville, you don't want to be left behind, right? And you have a quarterback that needs more weapons. So go ahead and get that weapon in Roma Doomsday. Um, yeah, I love it. At 46, I got my guy, Max Melton from Rutgers. Really, really good corner. He's getting first round buzz, which is crazy. I love that for him. And it's fair. Rutgers, for those who don't know, Rutgers has produced some really good corners in the NFL level, and Max Melton could be the next one. So at 46, I thought that was really good value. 117, Cole Bishop, again, adding to that defensive back room. I really like his game. Uh, is a really big playmaker at the safety position, so I thought that was cool. Dalen Hooker from Colorado State to again give Anthony Richardson another weapon, this time as a tight end. KT Levinston or Livingston or Leaveston. I don't know. Uh, again, offensive line depth. It's a really good tackle class. So getting offensive line depth at this stage of the game is nice. And then Josh Proctor, another safety, just to help bolster that defensive back room. All right, the Titans, they traded back. They were the ones that traded with Denver. Um, and at 12, I figured why not take a guy like Brock Bowers? He's sitting there. I love the idea of giving Will Levis more weapons. Um, and so yeah, I took Brock Bowers at 12. At 38, I got Lad McConkey. So again, my first two picks were just giving Will Levis as many weapons as possible so that he could thrive. Um, 76 Kingsley Sumatea to help with the offensive line. And again, it was a pick that they got from trading back. So they were still able to get a tackle. 106 Braylon Allen. I mean, you just lost King Henry. Why not take another guy that runs like King Henry? I know he's not King Henry, but shoot, he's another guy that's a load to bring down. So why not take him? At 146, Dadrian Taylor Demerson, safety from Texas Tech. Again, just helping with the defensive back room. Again, same thing with getting Kamal Hayden, cornerback out of Tennessee. Bolster that side of the defense. At 242, Trojan Jeff Coat, an edge from Arkansas. Makes a lot of sense. And then again, I got another tackle, Ethan Driscoll. Obviously this guy's more of depth purposes, but still trying to bolster that offensive line. Will Levis was another one that kind of got hit a lot last year. So let's, try to fix that offensive line so he can stay upright and you can really see what you have in him. The Jaguars at 17, Quinion Mitchell made so much sense. He's been probably the face of the draft process in terms of a guy that, before the draft, not too many people knew about. But by the time the draft is here, everybody was talking about him. So getting him at 17 was great. Chris Braswell at 48, again, really good value. Christian Mahogany and Bo Limmer at 88 and 114 was just great for boosting the interior of that offensive line, which is something was a major need for them. And they got great value in doing it. Tyreek Smith, to me, was best player available. And again, helping out that defense. Uh, Talua Tagovailoa, Tua's younger brother, I think could be a really good backup in that system. Um, Obviously they're hoping Trevor Lawrence doesn't need, they don't ever see the backup, but still he could be a really good backup. And then Charles Turner again, offensive line depth, made sense. The Houston Texans, Ennis Rakestraw Jr. coming in at 42 from Missouri to help with their defensive back. I went defense heavy, as you can tell. So I got Devondre Sweat. I know he had the DUI. I know he's been falling down draft boards, but I think a guy like D'Amico Ryans can get through to him and bring out the best in him. That's why I want him for this team. Jalix Hunt from Houston Christian. Um, Again, boosting that defensive line. Tommy Eichenberg and the linebacker. Also Gabe Hall, another guy that kind of falling down draft boards, but he's a behemoth of a man. And I think D'Amico Ryans could do a lot with him. So I got him in between that. I got Luke McCaffrey as another weapon for CJ Stroud to throw to as if he needs any more. Nelson Caesar, another edge help. Again, as you see, I'm loading up on that defensive line. And if you see, they're all Texas kids, all kids from Texas coming to Houston to take over. Trey Knox as a tight end prospect made a lot of sense there. And then Isaiah Johnson at 247. I know they got Joe Mixon. They traded a seventh rounder for Joe Mixon. Um, but yeah, running back depth is huge, man. You gotta have it. You gotta have it to be successful. So yeah. But as you can see, I really like this draft for them. Just loading up on a bunch of Texas guys to be on that defensive line and just wreak havoc. I kind of love that idea. All right, the New York Jets getting Olu Fashanu at 10. They need tackles. We know that. That's kind of self-explanatory. 72, they took Jermaine Burton to give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. It's one of the reasons why I went Olu Fashanu at 10 because I knew I could get a wide receiver later if need be. Cameron Kitchens at 111 is a steal. Um, Along with Bo Braid from Maryland, two guys I think Robert Saleh would love to have on his secondary. Bo Braid is a ball hawk, and Cameron Kitchen's going to bring the hurt. A nice little duo for the Jets. Dwayne Carter on that defensive line again, helping out with the defense. Will Reckard from Alabama. Again, it was one at that point of the draft where I was like, well, somebody's got to take a kicker. I know it's hard to kick in MetLife, so let me get him a kicker. And then with their last pick, uh, Litatrick Griffin, wide receiver from Mississippi State. Again, just another weapon, more of a gadget guy, special teamer. Really good, really good special teams. And that's probably where he'll make his money. They actually had the last two picks of the draft at 256 and 257. So he was Mr. Irrelevant. The Patriots, they traded down with the Minnesota Vikings, and at 11, they were able to get Leatu Latu. Um, yeah, with JJ McCarthy off the board, I didn't see the Patriots taking quarterback 5 at 11. So I just took best player available. Um, Adonai Mitchell at 23, a huge playmaker. Again, they were kind of in the mix. Remember, there was a time where a lot of people thought they might not even take a quarterback, that they would take Marvin Harrison Jr. So getting a guy like Adonai Mitchell at 23 was great. Again, you got that from trading down. Then you take Bo Nix at 34. Like I think this would be a perfect scenario for the Patriots. 68, Blake Fisher, another great player that I want. I want him for the Steelers. They get him at 68. Austin Booker, good edge rusher, good value. Sion Vaki, another good safety. It's pretty decent safety class, and he's one of those guys. Again, I love the value. DeMar Glaze, another tackle to help bolster the offensive line. And again, the value is crazy to get him at 180 when I have him much higher. So I thought that was a great pick for them. Curtis Jacobs, linebacker from Penn State. Um, I definitely wanted to get a linebacker, so that oh Lord, what's the new coach's name? Can't even think of the name. But you know what? The Mayo. Yeah, there you go. Mayo could, mold and put his arms around. And I kind of like that. And Penn State is known, for those who don't know, it used to be linebacker university. So uh yeah, I thought that was a great fit. And then Elijah Jones, just cornerback depth, and they got somebody I think they might be familiar with, assuming because he went to Boston College. The Bills. Okay, I really like this draft for the Bills. Brian Thomas at 16. You traded up from 28 to go get Brian Thomas at 16. So that was who they traded. That's who traded with Seattle. Jalen Polk at 60, right? So two stud wide receivers when they didn't have any going into the draft. Now they got two. Love that. Maris Luafu, linebacker from Notre Dame. Again, really great value. Matt Goncalves in Pittsburgh. Again, fantastic value. Fantastic value. Um, they needed help at the offensive line. They got it. DJ James. I think they were one of those teams where I was kind of just able to go best player available, and it was working every single time. Because I love the DJ James pick. I love the Tyler Davis pick. Um, Keaton Oladapo, again, helping with that secondary. That 200 is great. Jaden Sheridan from Monmouth. I had to get some Jersey, some love. Get a guy from from a Jersey school besides Max Melton, obviously Rutgers. Get him drafted, and then Justin Rogers again, BPA 248 Auburn. Help shore up that offensive line. Help shore up that defense line. Get two stud receivers. What if you're a Bills fan? What else could you ask for? The Dolphins. Okay, at 21, I had them take Graham Barton. They need the help. He can play all throughout the offensive line. At 55, Jatavion Sanders, again, one of my favorite players in this draft. Probably my tight end too. So having taken him at 55 was great. Jake Plummer, um, or Jack Plummer, I should say. Somebody I think again could be a decent backup for them. Tua hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy, so getting a backup is to me very necessary. Keith Randolph Jr., defensive line from Illinois, boosted the defensive line at 184. Again, good value. I traded back from 198 and still got Isaac Garendo from Louisville as another running back because Mike McDaniels loves his running backs and you need running back depth. And then at 241, getting a center from Miami because again, I think that's somebody to be familiar with and it's good value and good to keep putting bodies on the offensive line. All right, Cincinnati Bengals at 18, they took J.C. Latham to help shore up that tackle position. At 49, Chris Jenkins, and I love that pick. To bolster the defensive line, I should say. I'm sorry. Tez Walker at 80. Again, the guy that he has some drops, but I think he was going to be a good pro. Ben Sinnott as a tight end slash halfback hybrid. Somebody I think Joe Burrow would really like to utilize. Ray Davis, speaking of running back, they lost Joe Mixon, so I wanted to get them a running back. Makai Wingo, again, him and Chris Jenkins on the defensive line is crazy, along with Zion Tupalupa Fatui. There's another guy that beginning of the year was supposed to be like a first round draft pick. You get him at 194. That's incredible value. Tanner McClain as another tight end. This is more like a more traditional tight end. And then at 224, getting a punter, because again, at this point in the draft, why not? And Dallas Gant, their last pick at 237, linebacker, get some linebacker help. And again, a guy that I'm assuming they would be familiar with. Went to Toledo, Ohio dude, why not? All right, my Steelers. Okay, I took Troy Fatanu at 20. Here's why. It's been civil war in Steelers country, right? Most of us want offensive line in the first round. Others want Brian Thomas Jr. if he's there, corner. Uh, yeah, that's probably it. If you don't want offensive line, you probably want Brian Thomas Jr. or a corner, or even A.D. Mitchell. Those are the names I've been hearing. But most of us want an offensive line. The civil war is: do we want a center or a tackle in the first round? Steelers fans are very split. A lot of people don't think you take a center at 20, no matter how good he is, because of the value and blah, 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 blah. Others, like myself, realize that center is probably the biggest need we have. And like I said in another mock draft, I think it was a Steelers mock draft, there's not a lot of good centers in this draft. And where we're picking, if the board doesn't fall the way you want it to fall, you can be really, really screwed if you don't take a center at 20. So the reason why I took Troy Fultano is I look at it like this. Either we do get a center and he's our left tackle, great. Or if we don't get a center because the board doesn't fall our way, he could play center and I know I could get a tackle later. I know he's not going to want to play center. He's been very adamant that he believes he's a tackle, and that's fine. I'm drafting him to be a tackle, but I'm also drafting him because God forbid the board doesn't fall the way I want it to fall. He's going to be our center. Now, as you can see, we were able to get Cedric Van Pran at 84, and I'm happy about that. But again, at 20, I don't know if that's going to happen. again, I wanted to be I wanted to be a fair mock draft and draft for everybody. I can't make somebody fall to the Steelers, right? So at 20, I took Troy Fatanu, knowing that there's a good chance that the centers I want weren't going to be there. And at 51, they weren't. And Cedric Van Pran is one of those weird. He's the last guy I want, but I wouldn't want to take him at 51. I think that's a little bit too early. But there's a good chance he's not there at 84. In this case, he was, but there's a good chance he's not there at 84. So Troy Fautano's there at 20. I think the Steelers should take him because that shores up a lot, right? Either he could play center for you if you don't or if you aren't able to get a center, or if you are able to get a center, he could play left tackle. So that's what I did. At 51, Keon Coleman was there. I took him. Um, I know he's not a separator. I understand that. But the way I'm looking at it in the offense that we're going to run, the fact that he's a big body receiver that likes to get downfield, that's exactly what Russell Wilson wants to throw to. And I think he will get open in our system because, again, it's going to be off of play action. We're not going to be dropping back to pass. Everything's going to be off of play action. So there's going to be, teams are going to have to account for that. And George Pickens going to get all the double teams. I think he can beat the other guy on the other side. Um, at 84 again, Cedric Van Pran did end up falling there. I didn't plan it. That's just how the board fell. So we were able to get Cedric Van Pran. Very happy about that because he's the last guy I'm comfortable with taking at center. 98, Jerry Jones, again, good value at corner. Cedric Gray at 119. Um, I know we got Patrick Queen, but we still need linebacker depth. Lord knows our linebackers can't stay healthy to save our lives. I like Cedric Gray a lot. Getting him at 119 was good. Jordan Jefferson at 178 to me was great value. Was great value getting him at 178. Um, we do need to still put guys in that defensive line. Cameron Hayward probably is going to retire at the end of the year, so getting somebody that could be at least his heir apparent, and a guy like Jordan Jefferson, who has all the talent in the world, just needs to develop a little bit better. You can sit him this year, don't play him, and let him develop for next year. At 178, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And at 195 is a guy that I've just been hearing that they really like. MJ Devonshire. He's a slot corner, which is fine, but he's a ball hawk. Um, he he makes plays at the position, and so again at 195, I love it. Okay, the Ravens, they go to Oregon twice. Two picks in a row with Troy Franklin and Kyrie Jackson. Two guys I really love. Two guys I really hate that the Ravens got. Brandon Coleman at 93 at tackle. They could use the help at the tackle position. Good value there. Malik Washington, a slot receiver. They need receivers, so I wanted to double dip at receiver. Javon Solomon, edge from Troy at 130. Isaiah Adams, again, just more guys to help bolster the offensive line. The Camarian Richardson from Mississippi State, another corner that they could use. Frank Gore Jr., I know they got Derrick Henry, but again, their running backs are always hurt. And again, Derrick Henry's no spring chicken. So a guy like Frank Gore Jr., to me, I think the Ravens would love a legacy player like that. Especially at the running back position, made all sense in the world. And then Jaden Cremity from Mississippi State, helping that defensive line and which is best player available. And last but certainly not least, the Cleveland Browns. At 54, took Rook Aurora. He's a dude that I hope either is a bust, so I never have to say his name again, or is a superstar, so that we always know how to pronounce it. That being said, in this situation, he's on the Browns, so maybe more bust than superstar, hopefully. But still, that name is crazy. Um, but he might be like Giannis Antetokounmpo when he first came to the league. Nobody knew how to say his name. Now everybody does. So, good luck to you, brother. At 85, Junior Colson, I love this pick. Jordan Travis at 156, I thought was a really good piece. The Browns saw what a backup can do for them. If he, I think he could be a really high backup in the league. So I love this pick for them at 156. At 206, getting another linebacker just for depth purposes. At 227, Solomon Bird, edge again, helping with the defensive line. And at 243, Kendall Milton, running back depth. They need running back depth. Nick Chubb got hurt last year. Why not add another Georgia running back to the mix? Okay, so that was the draft. Thank you for if you're still here, thank you for tuning in for the whole thing. I really, really appreciate it. Just my couple thoughts before I head out. This was the first time I did this. This was an incredible process. It took me all together like 30 hours to complete the draft. And then however long this recording has been, we've probably been recording for like an hour. Then I still got to edit, upload. So like this has been a process. This is definitely without question the longest video in terms of like, everything that went into it. But I'm really happy I did it. I've always wanted to do one of these. I'll probably plan it out better next time. Like I said, I'm in LA. That's why I'm not even wearing the Steelers hoodie. Uh, it was one of those things where uh I thought I could just get it all done Friday. I figured I'll take like I knew it was gonna take a long time, right? It's a 7 round mock draft. I figured I'll take like 5, 6 hours tops. Nah, bro. Nah. Like I probably spent 12 hours alone on Friday doing this, and I wasn't done yet. And I was only like, I think on like the fourth or fifth round. So yeah, it took a long time. Um, and it gives me even greater appreciation for the draft process. It really does, because this is crazy. Like doing the regular 1 to 3 round mocks, like yeah, I can knock that out in a couple hours, 2 hours. This took a long time. Um, so yeah, I appreciate that. For those wanting to do this, I use PFF. Again, there's pros and cons to all of these simulators. For me, PFF was probably not great for doing a 7 round mock because it doesn't tell you uh, who you drafted. Obviously, you can go back up and scroll, and I was writing. Thank God, I was writing it all down in my notebook, so had my notes. But um, other simulators, at least when you go to a team, it'll tell you this is who you drafted, or some of them will at least like X out a position, so at least like, okay, these are the team needs, but I already drafted a tight end, I already drafted a running back, so I don't need to do that this time. Da, da, da. Um, PFF doesn't do that. Um, in terms of trades, it was kind of like the reason why PFF trades are cool because you can force a trade if you need to, and you could trade players. You guys seen me do that. Like I've done like the ones where I mocked where Justin Fields was going to go and stuff like that. Um, but in a mock, where there's no like player trades and just regular trades, it's hard because the way they do trades is different. They suggest which teams would want to trade up or down, and therefore it's easier to negotiate with those teams. If you wanted another team to trade down or trade up, depending on how you look at it, it's really hard. It's a lot harder to negotiate the price. So you're kind of stuck trying to figure out what the right value is. Um, so that was annoying. Uh, yeah, that was annoying. Trying to figure that out. I will say, especially in the later rounds, where PFF was helpful was showing what the trends were, showing uh what the consensus was, especially again, obviously I don't know all 32 teams. I don't know what they need beside what the simulator says they need and stuff like that. So being able to say like, hey, this is what fans of this team are picking in this round at this pick. That was actually extremely helpful once we got to like, rounds 5 through 7, right? That was extremely helpful. Um, at least knowing that. Uh, so that was cool. Other simulators don't necessarily have that, so that was cool. So again, the point I'm making is I use PFF. If I were to do this again, I might use a different simulator. Because again, there's pros and cons to it. Like I said, it did help picking players towards the end when it was telling you like what the trends are, what stuff is, and they're very analytical based, so they're giving you the numbers and stuff to help you make a decision. Obviously they don't have everything for every player, but for the players that they did have, it was really good. Um, but yeah, doing trades was kind of annoying in this because again, God forbid it was a team that they didn't suggest wanted to trade with you. Negotiating was hard. And yes, I could force a trade, but again, I was trying to have a very realistic draft. So I don't know I don't have the trade chart with me. So trying to figure out what that was a good trade or not, you know. But anyway, that's it. I don't even know. Most of y'all probably not been listening to this, and that's okay. Put put self in the comment section. Write self if you're still here. Okay, write self. But yeah, that's the video. I'm the unforgettable one. You can find me at Never Forget Me. That's NEVA underscore the number 4 BRETT underscore ME on all the socials. We are at the underscore dope blog on Instagram and threads. We're at the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter. And because you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. Please, if you ain't never did it before, like, share, and subscribe on this video. Please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence. Deuces. Enjoy the draft, everybody. Love you guys.